what we were working on over the weekend were facial features, right? So we've been working in our sketchbook, we're working on facial features this week. So I want to show you, because I said I would do this with you, right? We're in it together. Some of the things that I worked on, plus introducing the annotation in our sketchbooks. And why are we annotating? Why are we notating? Why are we doing it? Shout it out. Yeah, go ahead. To get better at what we're doing, right. And to also let us know where we're going with it. Part of the portfolio for AP Art this year is process. So this helps us with our process in labeling the medium that we're using. So for example, I was using a graphite number 2, a graphite, just a regular lead pencil, but I was also using a charcoal pencil number 4, which is different from a number 6 or an HB. And then I found an ink pen that I wanted to just experiment with to see what that looked like, because I hadn't done it in a while, and I also want to encourage you to try other mediums too. So, and in my annotation, I just sort of started off, this is what I'm doing, this is what I would do better in. If you look at this, I was like, I would like to do it in a more refined manner rather than such thick lines, but I was still happy with it. Could I get better? Absolutely. So I want somebody to share some of their artwork, some of the things they worked on. And do we need to hold them up? No? Do we need to hold these up? Yes? Okay. So let's talk about this for a second. All right, Francis, tell me what your process was.
I was drawing the eye.
Drawing the eye?
But I messed up on the eyebrows because I was rushing.
Okay. Well, rushing, you know, because I know it's also an assignment and it's Sunday night and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to get this done. And that's okay. As long as you're getting something down, it's okay to rush it because you can go back and refine it. And I don't want anyone to say I messed up, because why? Because this is a process, right? And we're only learning. So I'm going to walk down and show everyone else what Francis was doing. But you put a lot on here, which I really like. And you did a couple of good explorations with the mouth with teeth, eyes, ears. I didn't even try the ears, so you did a good job with that. And then when we write down our annotations, when we're notating, you don't have to do a fail. You didn't fail. This is not a fail. Any attempt is a great attempt. And please don't scratch anything out either. I really want to see where you're going so that we understand that process. Anybody else want to share? Can I share yours? Okay. Actually, I'm going to do these at the same time, just for time constraint. Okay. So we've got two different methods, right? But a little bit larger with Elizabeth, and then smaller, more dainty facial features with Crystal. And I like this. Oh, and look, we have one with a glass, like the water glass behind it, because we did what? We did water glass and reflection last week. Nice segue. Okay, but also making notes, looking good, and then, because I saw this before and you've added more to it. It looks good. What do you think?
I really like the nose and the mouth.
You like the nose and the mouth? Yeah?
Yeah, I like that.
Any opinion?
I like how she did the lashes and how she stroked it instead of
Right.
putting it all together.
Looks more realistic, doesn't it? Okay, that's what we're striving for. Nicely done, ladies. Okay, all right. So moving on, keep working on those. We'll have another assignment on Friday on what we're going to do for our sketchbook, okay? So today, what I want us to talk about is a medium, so that this is something else that you can experiment with your portfolio as you are moving into your larger pieces of artwork. So we're going to work with oil pastels. We're going to talk about oil pastels today. And who has worked with oil pastels before? Yeah? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Do we like it? Do we like working with oil pastels? Who has worked with it and doesn't like it? Okay, okay, it's messy, right? It's a little messy. It's hard to blend, right? Oil pastels is made out of pigment, the color, plus a non-drying oil. And so that's what binds it. So that's why it's a little weird. It's different than a colored pencil, it's different than colors, it's different than paint. But I want you to know more about it so that at least you have a choice, okay? What I want to do is I want to show you some artwork by Degas. We know who Degas is, right? and let me see if I can pull this up. And his work, and this is just going to be some imagery and maybe some sound. Do we have sound on this? Can y'all see that? No, hold on. Hold on, technical difficulties. Let me get this out of there. Can you see this? Okay. And the sound, I'd love to have sound on this, but if we don't, and it really is by, it's just instrumental music, it's gorgeous. But what Edgar Degas, he really studied, went through a movement of ballerinas and the lighting and the effect that it had on movement with the figures. And what I wanted to show you is how he uses the medium, and a lot of this ballerina segment of his work is with oil pastel and pastel. But for today, we're going to talk about the oil pastel part of it. Thank you. Tchaikovsky, right? Tchaikovsky. So a few of his imagery, when you see the light that's reflected on the arms and in the shoulder area, the blending, the detail, it's just so unusual, and yet it just kind of captures the moment. You can almost feel it. I don't know if you can, but I just think it's beautiful work, and it's solemn and sad and just poetic at the same time. But looking at the texture, hold on, I want to pause that one back. Can I pause it with this? Well, hold on. That doesn't work, does it? Hold on. Sorry, I'm going back and forth here. Oh, I know, right? Okay, so let's look at this quickly. Let's look at this. So you see the white of the hosiery, right? And then this light, but it's blended, and then there's stippling, like dots here. And it looks chalky and a little messy, but then it's very soft and beautiful. This is the effect of which you can get with oil pastel. All right, so you get the gist, right? The reason why I wanted to show you that is so that you first can really just see, okay, well, this is a very viable medium. People use this, and it's something that I want you to at least be introduced to or reintroduced again. I want us to practice some of these techniques today. And what I've done is I want you to use your sketchbook, and I've got a handout, and can you just pass these around, of a variety of different techniques. Now, these techniques can be used with crayon, they can be used with colored pencil, and they can definitely be used with oil pastels. And some of the things that we're going to go through with shading, hatching, cross-hatching, scumbling, directional marks, multi-layers, burnishing, things like that. These are the different techniques that I want you to practice in your sketchbook, but I also want you to notate what you're trying. And on the back of the sheet, you can see there's a couple of different just, simple shapes. For you, I want you to come up with your own shapes, okay? I mean, you can borrow a sphere, right? Or you can use, make a heart, but think a little bit outside the box as you're trying to practice these different techniques. Okay? Up here, actually, let me move over to this one. So, where was I? Was it Monday when we were talking about annotating a technique? In your sketchbook, I want you to have something that looks like this page. okay? You don't have to copy this directly, and I don't want you to. I want you to come up with your own method. But I want you to have what you're doing, which is a technique that is oil pastel. And then you can say, I'm experimenting to create, we're going to create highlights, shadows. What are some of the other techniques that are on here? Shading, yeah, shading, scumbling, directional marks, things like that, right? So I want you to tell me and tell yourself in your sketchbook that those are the things that you're attempting to try for those techniques. And then you can use many colors, you can use all the colors, or you can use just a few colors. But for sure, you're going to use white, black, and gray, okay? And let me pass these out. And the reason why you're going to use those for sure with any hue is that you're going to practice highlighting for tints and shading with shadow and tone for gray, right? Make sense? Okay. And let me get you back there. Can you hand these to them back there? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to practice? Okay. I'll go through a little demonstration and talk about some of the refined points of using oil pastels, okay? So, as you can see right here, I was working on a monochromatic where I was using shading with black. I had my hue, which is blue, and then I blended it out to white. And the first thing you want to start off with, if you want to grab an oil pastel and follow along with me, that would be great. So pick your favorite color. Name a favorite color. Purple, okay? Pick a purple. I'm going to go purple first, all right? So what I would do in our shading and practicing this, so you get the feel for this and that we understand how the black works with the hue and how white works with it, is somewhere on your paper, start with your color. Start with the hue. So we're going to do purple because someone said purple. And then what I would take is black. I'm going to blend. And I would take your black and I put down a heavy pressure on my chalk pastel, my oil pastel, sorry, we're working with oil pastel. And then as I move towards the hue, I lightly press, just a bit of a lighter pressure. And then I'm going to blend, thank you, Francis. And I take my oil pastel and I go and work it back lightly, back towards the black, the shadow. And then I bring it back towards the color again, going back and forth. And we've all done blending before because you're my AP class. And you start to blend it so that they sort of almost seamlessly, like water, right? We don't see a big transition, we see it a light transition, move back and forth. You see that? And you work the color till it gets to a blend that you like. And we're going to do the same thing with, I'm going to break this up a little bit. I'm going to use gray, lay down some gray color, and then lighter pressure towards your hue, towards your favorite color, and then get that purple again, and move it towards the gray lightly, and then go back over it until it starts to get that tone of purple that you're looking for. But mostly what you're experimenting right now with is how these work together, because they're really different. They're oily, they're a little messy, they smudge, and then I'm missing a white in here. Can I borrow your white real quick? Let me use this one real quick, and I'll give it back, I promise. And then try it with white. And while you can't see the white on my paper, you'll be able to see it in a second. I'm going to take the purple from here and blend it and experiment with it, all right? So I see some of you are working with a lot of pressure, so the color, you can really see really heavy strokes of the color. And then me, for display reasons, I'm a little more scratchy, not as dense. But over here, it looks really, well, let me give you your white back so you can practice with the white too. You know, the colors are more saturated. That's what Christina's doing. Hers are a little more saturated. Mine are always a little more feathery, but that's just my style. It's the way I am. But over here, we've got heavier marks. Can I see yours real quick? Hold this up. You know, Miriam's are a little bit darker and then also a little feathery in the middle and then working her way over to the white side. You can also experiment with the gray that gives you that tone. These look good. These look really good. Okay, so tell me, first off, I mean, what do you think about this? How does this feel? Yeah, it's soft.
It's different.
It's what? It's different. Is that what you said? It's different? Yeah, because it's really it's oily and waxy at the same time. It's like a very strange crayon, but it gives you a beautiful effect as you start to make art out of it. Because it blends so nicely once you get used to it. Let me see yours, Francis, real quick, okay? So, you know, nice transition of color right here, right? Dark reds. He's like, forget the white and the black. I'm going straight for the color, which I am totally okay with. And nice transition in creating that darker orange, the light orange to the red orange. It's pretty. Really nice. And then what I want you to do is also work on the blending like a sphere. So you know, our friend the sphere, right, turning a shape into a form. I started working on this one. And then you can also, like, take your fingers. You can always work with your fingers. You can always work with, you know, I call it, you know, the poor man's blenders, right, or cotton swabs. But if you have blenders, especially the traditional ones, I wouldn't recommend them unless you're just purely working with a variety of them for oil pastel, because they get messy and you kind of run out of them. Those are disposable. Plus, using any kind of napkin, paper towel, Kleenex, those work really well too. But they will get on your fingers, but it comes off with soap and water, okay? And then in our next class, what we'll work on is using solvents, different kinds of, like turpentines, to break it down so that they really do get smooth. Any questions? No? Okay, so, yes, sir. Yes, I want you to use, and I want you to experiment. I want you to definitely experiment. And when you're experimenting, I want you to notate it. I want you to tell me, I'm going to use multiple colors. I want to see what this is like. I want to see what it's like to introduce, I don't know, complementary colors to one another or analogous colors, things like that. If you want to pick drapery and work on that, like this is a technique with clothing. But somebody was doing, these are just some easy blending ideas. Working with the sphere, this is your value scale with blue. All kinds of experimentation, that's what I want you to do. Good question, thank you. Anything else? Okay, yeah, wait, one more question, yes?
Can I like actually draw something, or do I just happen to like?
Can you actually draw something?
Like, can I do like the faces?
Yes, so if you want to draw something, that is part of the experimentation. And if you want to work with faces, if you want to work with objects, just be thoughtful in how you approach it. I want you to think about using shadows, casting shadows, so that your forms look three-dimensional. If you're working with, like we've been working on our hands and our feet and our facial features, use those same ideas we did with pencil, and then transform them into color with the oil pastel. And that's an easy way to practice in your sketchbook. Anything else? Good question. Is that it? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy oil pastels, and we'll meet up again, and we'll see how we did, okay? All right. My name is Miss Messick Farquharson at Yates High School, and I am the art teacher. This is our AP class today. But for those of you that are interested in working with oil pastels, this is a great starter kit with Craypas Junior Artist. These come in 25, but you can also find 50. And these are beautiful, beautiful colors, good pigment if you want to experiment. And just keep at it. That's what I always say. Keep drawing, keep making art, because eventually when you get to high school, you're going to be super ready, and I can't wait to meet you.